What's up, bud? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
All right, thank you, mate. All right, nice to see you again.
Yes, mate. We're getting on a roll now, aren't we? It's not too bad.
Man, let's not jinx it. Let's not jinx it. We haven't got much of a plan here. We know what we want to say, but we haven't got much of a plan for this episode.
No, this episode is going to be on why can't I lose weight? Very common question.
It's a big common question. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people are going to want to hear the answer because the answer isn't necessarily what they want to hear.
No. Because let's be honest, it's not really a lack of education anymore with people. It's a lack of self-discipline and willpower.
Yeah, it's a lack of application. The regular one is, I've been trying to do this, I've been trying to do that, and the optimum word there is try. I got told I was very negative recently when I shared a post saying I'm not prepared to entertain a conversation with someone when that person is saying to me, I've tried everything, but they haven't tried accurately tracking their nutrition.
There's a fair shout.
It's not, unless you are prepared to track your nutrition over a longer period of time and consistently stick to it, you can't turn around and say, I can't lose weight. Have you tracked? No.
Yeah, I think I definitely think if it's something that someone has struggled with for a long time and they're not getting the result that they want, then some element of tracking has to come in. Some people are really lucky. Like there are people out there who are really lucky who have brilliant metabolisms, who, you know, let's say they have a small appetite. There's people out there who genetically are going to be better at losing weight than others. But if you've been trying for a long time and haven't managed to succeed, then yeah, you probably need to do some level of tracking. That would be my advice. Even if it's just tracking just to understand portion sizes and get a bit of control back. Don't have to do it forever. Yeah. Just got to get an idea.
Yeah, the control's the big thing. If you can control all the variables, it makes life so much easier. But when we're saying tracking, we are not suggesting you need to track your calories for a long period of time. We're not suggesting you need to put every single gram of food that you put in your mouth or fluid or sauce or anything like that. We're not suggesting you need to do that religiously for a long period of time on a MyFitnessPal or a chronometer or a Fitbit. We're not saying that at all, but you do need to be aware for a period of time what you're putting into your system, what's going in, so then we can understand how your body responds. Whether that is consistently tracking through a calorie app for a period of time, not a problem at all. Accurately measuring and weighing your food is a great way of doing it, but you don't have to. We can just look at portion size. This is the scoop I'm going to use for the oats. This is the size potato I'm going to eat. This is the size piece of chicken I'm going to put in. This is how I'm going to cook my vegetables. As long as there's some consistency around it, it doesn't need to be, I'm going to laboriously track everything.
I think as well, like another way of looking at it is there are some incredibly rich people in the world who are desperate to lose weight and are still very overweight. Losing weight is not something you can throw money at. You can't buy weight loss. You know, there's no magic thing that you can do to do it, because what it ultimately comes down to is you can have the best trainer in the world, you can have the best nutritionist in the world, you can have the best plan of action to lose weight, but unless you are prepared to struggle a little bit, discipline yourself, because let's be honest, like there's plenty of times during the day where you're on your own where you can eat what you want and do what you want, right? You've got to hold yourself accountable.
There's a big.
What I'm saying is it comes down to you and how badly you really want to do it. Because with weight loss, you are going to be tired. You're going to be moody. You're going to struggle with your day-to-day tasks as you would like to perform them at times because you are in a calorie deficit. And the thing is, once you get into a calorie deficit, the one thing you want to do is eat, because you know you feel better when you do it.
Yeah, you want to eat more and move less, because that's how the body preserves its energy stores.
Yeah, you're starving your body. That's how you lose weight. So what I would suggest is you don't go too extreme, because people that go too extreme on it are just going to hit a wall and, you know, fail probably. But you know, just put yourself into a deficit for a couple of days even, and then hit like a maintenance. And you don't have to track this. Like this, you can kind of feel as well. But like, put yourself in just a couple of days where you eat a little bit less and track it, and then go a couple of days where you kind of go a little bit more normal again, and then go a couple more. So over the course of time, you're creating that deficit. It becomes a little bit more manageable. You know, I think one big mistake people make is going too extreme too quickly and eradicating everything, changing too many variables.
Yeah, one of my biggest things I hate is where people go, right, I'm not eating this food group anymore, I'm eliminating this. And to me, that's a very dangerous, to me, once you start labeling foods as good and bad, and I'm going to remove this entire food group, or I'm not going to do this. Once you do that, to me, that's almost bordering on obsessive. That's almost bordering on sort of eating disorders, which we're not going to try and touch, and we're not going to try and work on people with that. But to label foods as bad, and I'm going to remove sugar, I'm not going to eat chocolate anymore. These are things that people enjoy. So you don't want to remove them entirely. You want to be able to enjoy these things. But the key here is moderation. And once we know what you're consuming, then you can moderately consume these foods. When I'm working with some people, for some people, it's progress getting them to say no a little bit more often to the pizza. But for other people, it's getting them to consume the pizza and not kick themselves, not be a dick to themselves after they have.
Yeah, because also what happens then is if you do that, you hit the fuck it button and you completely go off the rails. If you start beating yourself up for one bad thing and you're like, oh, I've done all the damage now, so everything's wasted, then it comes too far. But even one pizza in a week, you know, if you've been good for some, you might not lose weight that week. That might actually be enough to take you out of your calorie deficit. But at the end of the day, what generally happens is you have the pizza and you think, oh fuck it, I might as well have a dessert because I've had that. Then it's like, well, today's been bad anyway, so I might as well just, you know, carry it on for the rest of the weekend or whatever it is, and then start again Monday. Like, don't start getting so negative over one meal that it then ruins your whole outlook on the week.
So I was going to say something you said earlier as well about that some of the richest people struggle with their weight loss goals. We also need to remember the flip side of that. Some of those popular transformations over the years, we look at like a Hugh Jackman, how he transformed to do Wolverine, or the shape Chris Hemsworth's gotten himself into, the shape that Ryan Reynolds has been smashing out for 20 years. You know, these guys look in absolutely in insane shape. Yes, they've got the best nutritionalists. Yes, they work with trainers. Yes, they might have occasionally a little bit more time off to dedicate to it and people to help with this stuff. They are still day in and day out consistently getting workouts in, eating the right quantities of food, going to bed where they can. You know, it's when a big transformation happens, it's not by accident, it's by consistency.
If I look at it from my point of view, now the last 2 years haven't been good for me nutritionally because my sleep's been crap, to be honest. Like, it's been
worse than ever.
Mate, like the first 18 months of Leo was so bad that it was just kind of eating on the go a little bit, which I haven't done in years. So it wasn't too good for me. But I think that as a trainer, people are like, yeah, but it's so easy for you. No, it's not. Like, there's still that. When I started training, I was 17 and a half stone, fat, never walked in a gym before in my life. That fat kid is still inside me. It still sees cake every day and wants to eat it. It still sees biscuits every day and wants to eat it. And I'm an adult. I can get in a car. I can drive to the shop and I can eat them if I want to eat them. Like, no one's stopping me. It's no easier for me because I'm a personal trainer. I still have those feelings of wanting to eat things that I enjoy, but I just have to commit to the fact that that's not going to make me feel the way I want to feel. It's not going to help me train the way I want to train. It's not going to make me look the way I want to look.
So let's say, okay, let me throw this at you now. Let's say, just as an example, you've got Tenerife coming up in, I don't know, let's say 19 days, right? What would you do? What would be your strategy to lose, say, 3 to 5 pounds in those 3 weeks?
Okay, so the first thing I would do if I'm going onto a diet is just start eating the foods. I'd start eating whole foods. Whole foods that I know are nutritionally good for me. They're quite calorie low for the volume of food that they are. And I would stop eating those meals as I start feeling full. So rather than just whacking a load on a plate and finishing it, I would probably start off by just eating till I feel hungry, and if there's a bit left on the plate, I'd leave it. If I still feel hungry a bit later, I'll probably finish off that meal. So it starts by eating the right things, okay? That's probably enough for me to work, you know, eliminating things I know I shouldn't have. If that doesn't work, I'll probably have a little bit more portion control. So I would start to eat the same food, but just take away a little bit from what I was eating, so my plates are a little bit smaller. And then if that wasn't working, I may go onto MyFitnessPal and track my calories. I probably wouldn't track as I go. I would probably, the night before, I would just enter all the food that I want to eat into MyFitnessPal. So I've got like a menu and I go, right, cool, I know that's 2,000 calories. This is what I'm going to try and stick to. It would have some form of thought. That would be my process of doing it. Whole foods first, then work on portion sizes, then start to track. That works for me.
That's interesting for me. That third would be your go-to to start tracking. That's interesting.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, right? I've tracked in the past, so I know portion sizes. So it's not the same for me. Because I have a previous history of tracking portion size, that's probably the last thing that comes into account for me.
Okay, interesting.
But that's learning, right? That's why I tell everyone that for a couple of weeks you should monitor your portion sizes, because it doesn't just last for those 2 weeks. You then have a life skill that's like, it's there to tap into.
A habit you can ingrain for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
keep banging on about. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the important thing for me to stress would be, why would you do it for 3 weeks if it's not something you can do for the rest of your life?
Yeah. And there's nothing that I've
it's
said.
not sustainable.
Yeah, and there's nothing I've said there that I couldn't carry on eating the correct foods and, making sure my diet was as nutrient dense as possible.
Yeah, I'd say we did three tips in season 1, didn't we? Trying to get people to think about these things. 3 tips for weight loss. One of my 3 tips was switch to eating meals, stop snacking, and make sure that every meal has protein with it, some vegetables with it, like Chris is saying, whole foods, and be able to, when you finish that meal, just be able to say to yourself, that was just the right amount of food.
Yeah. It's pretty simple, isn't it?
Yeah, and if I was going to clean my diet up, first thing that's going to go is pudding, because every night I hit the biscuit barrel.
And anyone will tell you that does start to have some form of tracking. The first text I normally get is, "Did you know how many calories are in?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that dessert."
Did you know?
It's always
there's
desserts.
97 calories in a chocolate hobnob. Yeah. I did, because I can eat the whole pack.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm saying, nutrient dense whole foods are pretty low calories for a pretty large volume. If you eat 3 hobnobs for 300 calories.
Do you know what I was introduced to last year? Okay, chocolate hobnob, smooth peanut butter, the good stuff, not the stuff without sugar in it, the good stuff, and then another one on top. Make like a peanut butter. Oh, I mean, easily 300 calories, and you could have. Well, you could keep going with them.
That's exactly it, isn't it? That's exactly it, though. Like the fact that it's a high calorie volume, and after eating it, you're still nowhere near full, shows you why those foods are so bad for you when you want to lose weight. I'd say one more thing on it as well, while we're on the subject, is people are very good at creating a calorie deficit between Monday and Friday. People are very good at completely smashing that calorie deficit over a weekend. So I think, in all honesty, if people really want to lose weight, you have to see it as a 7-day-a-week approach.
Yeah, I don't want to see people being on track with their nutrition 100% of the time. If you are on track with your nutrition 100% of the time, you're going to be miserable. 80% allows you to have a life. 80% allows you to, I'm not going to say hit the fuck it button, because that's not necessarily what we want, but it allows you to go out for dinner with the girls on Friday night. We're going to have a bottle of Prosecco on Friday night. The things we hear all the time. How am I going to fit this in my calories? You just do it. Don't try and restrict these things. Don't try and be restrictive and stay on point all the time, because you need to have a life. If you can't, and if you're going to go, oh, that's it, I'm never eating this again. Well, if you want to eat it, you're going to eat it. One day, restrict it now. You're going to want it more later.
Yeah, agreed. One more thing I will say, which will be completely pulled apart by a lot of people, is the people that I've worked with who get the best results are the people who track their calories with a nutrition app. Now, I'm not gonna say you have to, but I'm gonna say the people that I've worked with that get the best results are the people who track their calories using an app.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna leave it there.
That's difficult to argue. I do have a couple of people that actually spring to mind who get there through eating consistently the same foods. Now, I'm not sure that's necessarily the healthiest way of doing it. If your diet is consistently the same, I think variety is key. But these people eat consistently, the same 2 or 3 breakfasts. You know, they'll just cycle it through. They'll eat the same 2 different lunches. They'll alternate. Dinner will probably be similar to lunch. So maybe from a macronutrient perspective, they're on point. But from a micronutrient and a mineral perspective, they might be losing out. But they have great results with it. So we can probably learn something from that. I think the key here is you need to test, you need to try it out, and you need to be consistent.
Yeah, I think needing to be consistent is it is probably the main one for me, for a period of time. It's not being consistent for 2 days and expecting to lose a stone. You're going to have to dedicate. One thing I would say as well is, like, you will lose weight pretty quickly if you dedicate yourself to doing it. So the reason that I think one of the main things that puts people off, and the reason that people don't get the result they want, is losing weight takes a long time. But that's only taking a long time because you're not putting the things into place and doing it the way you should do it. If you actually committed a period of time, quite a short period of time, but you were consistent for that period of time, you can actually drop a hell of a lot of weight very quickly doing things properly. So you're prolonging the agony by stopping, starting, jumping from one thing to the next.
That's
discipline. Key. So jumping.
If you nail on, if you land on something that is working, just keep repeating it. We want you to start stacking up good solid weeks, one on top of each other, where you're in, if you want to lose weight, where you're in calorie deficit for an average of that week, not 5 days and ignoring the weekend. Have a good average of the week and stack up good average weeks. That's all it is. We stack a bunch of good weeks up on top of each other and you will get the results you want, but you've got to be consistent with it.
The take-home message is no one can do it for you. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, no one's coming to do it for you. That's the important message.
You have to be prepared to struggle a little bit to lose weight.
Should we leave it there?
Yeah, let's leave that one there, mate. Cool. Cool. Any comments, any questions, just send them over to us. We will try and answer them.
We shall try.
Cool, mate. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Good to see you, bud.